Please like, share and subscribe channel for more ghost stories. Also share in comments your personal experiences about ghosts if any. Story 1. Yes, it is quite common for people to call them hallucinations, but it was not one in my case. I will try to describe it as accurately as possible. So, little students of grade 1 to 8 used to come to my house to study, and my elder sister used to teach them. They children would come at around 3 p.m. and leave around 7:30 p.m. It was summer. Since it was summer, it was close being dark, but not fully dark at 7:30 p.m. Now, one of the kids started doing this weird thing. She would hide the smaller shoes in the bigger shoes of the students, and when it came time for students to leave, they would be searching all around for their shoes. This started happening quite often. Every day there was one student complaining about lost shoes. And then we would find them in some bigger shoes. On this particular evening, it happened again. It was around 7:30 p.m. when one of the students started complaining about lost shoes. My little brother, who happens to be taller and bulkier than me and was that way at that time too, got up and started searching for the shoes. While searching for the shoes, he was mumbling in anger about whoever kept repeating this silly joke of hiding the shoes every day. Now, I need to explain a bit about how the area where the kids used to leave their shoes looked like. We were on the first floor. So, you would climb up the stairs from the ground floor on these spiraling stairs. The whole area with the stairs was like separated from the house in a way that when you reached the first floor, there was a door you had to open to get inside the house. And from this door, these stairs would lead you to the second floor. So, if you stood at the door that entered our house on the first floor, you will see the stairs going down to the ground floor and stairs going up to the second floors. If you close the door, you are inside the house on the first floor and the whole stair region is outside, completely separated. So, my little brother is looking for the shoes, but for some reason, they could not find the shoes anywhere, even inside the bigger ones. My brother decides to go upstairs on the second floor to see if someone had thrown them there. I am like inside the house and laughing at my brother's constant mumbling and complaining. So, he's going upstairs and constantly talking back to the kids and saying things like, "Hey kids, if someone has done it, please speak up where you have hidden the shoes." All of a sudden he screams from upstairs. I can't describe the sound of that scream, believe me. It was horrifying. And as I run to that staircase portion, I see him coming downstairs from the second floor, skipping 3 stairs with every stride. He runs past me and into the house. I go after him and he just drops on the bed. While lying like a dead body on the floor staring up at the ceiling, he is like, there's someone, there, some, he could not even complete his sentence. I thought he must have encountered some thief or robber upstairs, so I pick up a bending rod in my hands. I don't know what to call this thing, but this was some rod-like thing that people bend with both their hands to exercise. I pick it up in my right hand and slowly start walking upstairs on the spiraling stairs. As I am walking upstairs, my brother starts shouting from inside the house, "Majid, don't go there, there is something over there, come down." At this point I reach the end of the spiraling stairs onto the second floor into a storeroom. Yes, I know it's a weird structure of the house, but this is what it was. The stairs ended in a small storeroom kind of structure with a door opening to the open-air rooftop. Just when I reach that storeroom kind of area, which is still a closed and roofed area, I smell some scent in the air. It was very intense and loud, believe me. I was like, what the hell is that smell? And now my mind starts to find reasons to justify that scent. I am like, maybe there was some perfume in the storeroom that has spilled. But I looked around, it was a very small space, so exploring the whole thing wasn't a task, but couldn't find a thing. In my head I am like, maybe someone came from the roof and stood here and they were wearing this perfume. To my surprise, I look at the gate/door that opens to the open-air roof and it's locked from the inside, i.e. the doorknob was locked from the inside. There was no way someone could have gone out and locked it, it was like physically impossible. The last thought in my head was, it must be some smell outside in the air that has come inside from the gap underneath the door. But the problem was, the scent was now slowly fading away, and when opened the door and went onto the roof, there was no such smell. In fact, I could smell someone in the neighbor cooking food. In the meantime, the scent in the air is completely gone. I go downstairs and there is my little brother on the bed and telling my mother what he saw. That's how he described it. I was going upstairs looking for the shoes. As I went close to the storeroom area, I felt it was getting dark. Keep in mind it was now around 7:40 p.m. at that time, so the night was falling, so I tried to turn on the lights from the switchboard located in one corner. As I approached the switchboard to turn on the lights, I spotted a lady wearing an orange-colored shawl standing with her back to the wall and staring right at my face. And as I was about to approach the switchboard and had already extended my arm, she moved to one side while keeping her back to the wall. After that I screamed and started running downstairs. I don't even know how I have come downstairs and what was moving me, but I just started running madly. At this moment I thought it wasn't a good idea to tell him that when I had gone to that storeroom area a few minutes ago, I had felt a pull in my body at exactly the location where he was saying he saw this lady. When I was there, I could constantly feel something pulling my soul out of me. And that weird scent in that exact spot. Anyway, I kept my calm and helped my brother get back to his senses. He had fever that night and he constantly kept saying, "Please recite something, please don't leave my side," etc. But do you know what the most shocking part of the story was? When children came to our house for the tuition the next day, one of the kids who was present at that time when all of this happened started talking about the whole incident. And there was this guy aged around 13 or 14, he called my sister, his teacher, and said this: "Ma'am, did your brother see a little chubby lady wearing an orange shawl with very big eyes?" And my sister was like, "What?" Yes, that's the exact person my brother had described. And these are the words he said after that. You see, this is why I always try to leave your house before it gets dark, because a couple of times when I had gotten late and I saw this same lady coming downstairs from your second floor. She just comes downstairs and while going downstairs to the ground floor, she just disappears. We were all like, oh. There is a lot more to tell in this incident, but it has already become very lengthy, so yeah, that's it. Story 2, The Hallway. Fresh out of high school, I had just moved into my first place with my boyfriend, now ex-husband. He was at work one evening, just after sunset, so I was in our new house alone, babysitting my 2-plus-year-old nephew. The hallway that led into our bedroom had a door on the right side that led outside. The head of my bed was up against the wall on the opposite side, giving us a clear view of the back door. I brought my nephew to my room and laid him on the bed so that I could get him dressed in his pajamas. We were being goofy and laughing when he instantly stopped laughing and looked over towards the back door as if something there had gotten his attention. I turned to look over my shoulder thinking my boyfriend had come home and was coming down the hall, but no one was there. I had no idea what he was looking at. There were no pictures on the walls yet, no windows in that vicinity, and just a solid brown metal door with a simple brass handle. I looked back over at my nephew and was about to ask him what he was looking at, but the sheer terror in his eyes left me speechless. I darted my eyes back towards the door, but I couldn't figure out what he was seeing. I stared intently at the door for a few seconds before I turned back to my nephew, who was now quickly scooting backward towards the wall behind him, his mouth open as if he were screaming, but no sounds were escaping his lips. I reached out to comfort him, but his eyes were fixed on the back door. He finally took a deep breath and screamed a blood-curdling scream that hit me like a bolt of lightning. I have never heard anything, before or since, that sent such a shockwave of terror pulsing through my body. He screamed one long, constant, petrifying scream until his breath ran out, and then he took another deep breath and screamed again. I scooped him in my arms and spun around so that I could see the door and held him so that he could only see me and the wall behind the bed. I tried to calm him by rocking him and telling him it was okay, but I had no idea if I was lying or not. I had no idea what was happening or what he was seeing. He stopped screaming but began hyperventilating. I tried to force him to look away, but he was too terrified to keep his back to the door. He was trying to climb over my shoulder with such strength that I could barely hold him. I kept trying to ask him what was wrong, but he was hyperventilating so severely and trembling so much that he couldn't speak. Finally, while hiding behind my back, his little arm shot out beside me and he pointed at the back door and screamed, "Monsieur! Monster!" Saying it out loud seemed to send a rush of fear coursing through his body because he started shaking uncontrollably. It scared the hell out of me too. I tried to hug him and pick him up again, but all he wanted was to hide behind my back, pounding me with his little fists as if to say, "Do something." He said it again as if I didn't catch it the first time, "Monsieur." He began saying it over and over again between sobs, with increasing intensity. I put my arms behind my back and hugged him tight as he pounded my back while focusing intently on the back door. I saw absolutely nothing, but I was scared to death all the same. There was only one way out of the room, and that was down the hall and past that door. I was trying to get up the courage to do just that, but my nephew's frantic cries of "Monsieur" were quickly draining my resolve. He's pounding into my back with surprising force, screaming "Monsieur" in my ears, and I sat there completely frozen, almost trance-like. I kept imagining some invisible creature glaring at me, just waiting to pounce. Being unable to see it scared me more than anything. I suddenly heard a whisper through my nephew's screams, like his screams were somehow muted so that I could hear it. The whisper didn't have an angry tone, it felt more like the concerned voice of someone trying to help me. It whispered insistently, "Go, now." It snapped me out of the trance I was in, and I grabbed my nephew and ran. As we neared the back door, he started clawing my back and digging his nails in like he was afraid I'd let go. I ran down the hall and out the front door. I wasn't about to go out the back door. I ran several blocks to my mom's house. It hadn't occurred to me to take my car. I hadn't even stopped to grab the keys or put on shoes. I simply hauled ass out of there. When my nephew and I got to my mom's, we both instantly calmed down, as if a switch flipped when we walked in the door, even though no one else was home. So I sat him on the kitchen table while I sat in the chair in front of him. I hugged him, then wiped his tears and told him everything was okay now. After a couple of minutes, he seemed calm and steady, like he had somehow grown older and wiser in mere minutes. I worked up the courage to gently ask him what he had seen. He looked around quickly before looking back at me and calmly, almost matter-of-factly said, "Monsieur." The look on his face was half fear and half annoyance, like, "Damn it, woman, how many times do I have to tell you?" I tried various different ways to get him to describe it, but I didn't think he understood, so I grabbed a pencil and paper and started a pathetic attempt to draw various monsters. FYI, stickmen are beyond my skill set. He seemed to understand what I was doing but pushed the paper away and instead put his little hands on my cheeks and pulled my face closer to him. I wasn't sure what he was doing, but I went along with it. Once my face was mere inches from him, he pushed my chin so that I was looking down, and then he began playing with my hair. I thought, okay, that's one way to change the subject, and I let him style my hair. He pulled all of my hair to the front so that it was tickling my nose, and then he pushed my forehead back up so I could look at him through my hair. His voice seemed to quiver slightly as he whispered the word "Monsieur." It shook me to the core. I had long, straight, almost black hair at the time. He pushed the hair from my face and looked me right in my eyes and whispered "Monsieur" again as if to make sure I understood him. I looked at his chubby little face and his innocent eyes as they silently pleaded with me to understand, and I whispered back to him "Monster." He pulled my hair back in front of my face and said, "Yes, Monsieur. Yes, monster." Of course, I was freaking the fuck out. I was picturing something like a girl with hair over the face and waking barefoot in hallway. I scooped him into my arms and hugged him tightly. I kissed his little cheeks and said, "It's okay now. It's gone. You're safe. but it wasn't okay, at all. I was absolutely horrified and couldn't get the image out of my mind. I was covered in goosebumps and kept feeling shivers shooting up and down my spine. I knew he had seen something that was, to me, even more terrifying than any monster I could imagine. Was it a ghost? I didn't even want to know. It didn't really matter what it was because I never went back to that house again. It may be important to note that just outside the back door, across a very small yard, was an old cemetery. All of the homes are now gone. My place would have been just beyond the trees that are above the newest headstones, which by the way, were still super old. The older headstones are to the left of the center of the picture, the oldest are unmarked. The fence is a new addition. Where the equipment is now seen in the background used to be lined with homes instead. It's been a bit less than 20 years. I don't have to wonder why no one wants to live there anymore.